Okay, so um, for these assignments, you're going to need to use GitHub to pool the assignments. Um, so what I'd like to show you is how to do that. So this HappyGet with R for the use R. This is a great site that will have a lot of the ways that you can go about doing this and some quick alternatives for troubleshooting because one solution isn't going to work for everyone. And I highly recommend kind of going through the chapters. It's really well written to give you a sense of what to do as you go further. Now, assuming you go through this, you're going to want to go through each of these steps. So register your GitHub account. Hopefully you have R and RStudio installed on your laptop or a personal computer. Most computers come with Git or a version of it as part of their systems. So these steps are becoming um, less meaningful. But what you will want to do are these commands for learning how to work with Git. Um, Git is a way to kind of identify you in your code and also talk to other systems like GitHub. So in order to do that, you might want to consider um, introducing yourself to R. Now, you can go into your shell terminal and um, put in these commands for your particular GitHub name. Um, this is what's going to be saved with your commits as you continue to write. Now, what's nice about um, the packages for use this and use R is that you can run this in R as well. So if you have your R terminal up, you can also declare your name and your user email. Now, make sure that you can match this with your GitHub account. So some students will use their uw.edu, which is fine. But that's how these two systems get linked. All right, so as you move along, you might consider using something like um, an extra way of interacting with Git. I prefer just to use the one in R. Can you hear me now? So this is how you can start to test whether or not your Git and GitHub are um, are working together, the one on your computer and the one that you've registered in. So in order to do that, you want to make sure that these are set up. Now, um, these two are going to want to see each other and know that, it's kind of like the secret handshake. So when you're setting up your work, be sure to um, create um, your tokens. So there's going to be a variety of ways that you can access your dashboard. And let's say you want to pull it onto a new machine. Well, in order to do that, you have to make sure that your computer is securely connected with your other one. So what I recommend is the SSH keys. And you can create these with this new SSH key. You can title this whatever you want and pull the token and insert it down into the chapters that will follow. Now, HTTPS is kind of the easy one to use. You don't need to go through so many steps, but oftentimes, especially when you're working with our enterprise level things, it's not going to work. So here are the different ways you can do this. You're probably going to get some errors, and you can read about what those errors mean. But the quick way to do this with the HTTPS is this create a GitHub token. And then what it will do is feed you one of those tokens that's made through the site, and you can set that as your GitHub credentials. And again, these both are our commands. So with those two, you might be able to get into your platform, pull your your repo, and voila. However, a lot of students, as I mentioned, will want to go on and use this SSH key. So this is where that other part comes in, where you want to go make one pair, make the other pair, and connect those. So please read through this to get detailed instructions if that's the way to go. And again, sometimes you're working in the shell, sometimes you're working in R. Um, so don't be afraid to ask for help at this stage. These instructions are very clear. I've followed them many times, and I recommend you know, mindfully applying them. And then once you have that, you should be able to pull your repo using the HTML or the SSH. And again, SSH is going to have slightly different security standards, and you can allow it to have a SSO, which is a single sign-on for the repos that we're working in, the organization. So when you clone it, you can do it by command. RStudio also has some options available. So for instance, like let's say you want to go here. So panels here. Again, sometimes you're working in the R console. Sometimes you're working in the terminal. You don't have to put anything in the scripted language since you're not saving anything. So your commands for, you know, bring up the library for use this can be found here. And that should allow you to run these commands here. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble seeing because of the recording buttons. So once that brings it up, you should be able to use commands from the uses package. And here you can see all of the different ones here. So yes, lots available for the GitHub. Now, let's say you want to incorporate your Git. So there are settings available. Sorry, this is so hard to see. So I'm going to go up to yeah, okay. Tools, version control, project setup. Okay, so I can create a new project and do Git. This will open up in a new session. So let's say I want to pull my homework. And since I don't have the link up, let's say I want to go to a particular repo, and let's do basic ggplot basics. So I can copy the code. Here's the HTTPS. Here's the SSH. So let's say I copy this, and I'm going to put it in here and paste it. The directory name. So this is what it's going to show up as a folder. So let's just call this ggplot basics 2025. Now, if I don't have my username and all of that figured out here, it's going to give me some errors. But it was able to pull, and so you'll notice it's going to make a whole new folder for me. And this opened up a new window, and I have all the files that were in the repo. And on top of that, You'll notice that it gave me this new little button here, and I can switch between projects that way. And I also have my Git. So this is how you can test whether or not your Git is pulling or pushing. You can run the Git commands directly through these GUI. So this is great. Helps me check out my Git status. Actually, I need to put that in the other one. So Git status will tell me where I am in my code. I'm still on my branch. Um, I'm gonna say I want to see what my user name is here. I got an extra space in there. So it's very particular about spelling. And this is how I can make sure that I got all my details correct. So if those weren't correct, I would want to update it by declaring it right after this command. So first, make sure you introduce yourself. There's a couple different commands for you. Nope, forgot to add a little comma at the end of that here. Let's see here. Or parentheses. A quote, and my quote. There we go. And you can also make sure you're talking with the machine by being able to pull and push back to the repo you pulled from. So that's how your connections work. And again, follow along in the book. Hopefully you can get into this area. And again, you can use commands like use this or get creds to set your credentials. But I highly recommend the SSH. All right. So that's how to work with it in our studio.